Now, from immigration fraud, let's move to something far less talked about, but it is equally dangerous. Our next story is not about breaking the law, it is about not knowing the law and the lack of awareness that could cost you or your entire family millions of dollars. Let's talk about $60 rule that could cost your family millions. Thousands of Indians invest in American companies like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Amazon, believing that they are building a secured future for their family. But very few people know that the US rule, it can change their entire gameplay, and it can leave their loved ones dealing with unexpected taxes and long delays before accessing those investments. For many American citizens, estate tax exemptions are extremely generous. But for non-resident investors, the rule is different. If somebody falls under the category that is covered by these rules and owns the US-based assets above a certain limit, those assets may become subject to the US estate tax. The threshold many people talk about is just $60,000 for certain non-resident holding. Above that amount, the potential tax liability can increase significantly depending on the total value of the estate. And this is where many investors, they got confused. A common belief is that because India and the US have tax agreements, their family will automatically be protected. But that is not how the particular rule works. The agreements most people refer to, it is about income tax. They do not automatically eliminate the US estate tax obligation. As a result, many family members discover later on, but the time is already gone. And yes, there is another challenge that many people don't anticipate. Even after the investments are inherited, access to those assets may not happen immediately. In fact, in certain situations, legal documentation must be completed before financial institutions can release the investment to the family. That means loved ones could face significant delays at a time when they may need the financial support the most. Ladies and gentlemen, here financial planners say that this is why estate planning is just as important as investment planning. Building wealth is one challenge, protecting that wealth for the next generation is another. So, if you own significant investment in the US, understand the rules that apply to your asset. Just know how your investment are structured and seek professional tax advice instead of assuming your family is automatically protected. Because sometimes the biggest financial risks aren't hidden in the stock market, they are hidden in the fine print of the law. And this next case proves that no fraud stays hidden forever. We are going to talk about a robbery, a terrified shopkeeper, CCTV footage, police report, and at first glance, it looked like another crime story in America. But investigators later uncovered something unbelievable. Well, the robbery wasn't carried out to steal money. According to federal prosecutors, it was allegedly staged to help people obtain the US visas. Yes, very sadly, an entire crime scene was allegedly created not for cash but for immigration benefit. One of the person convicted in this case was an Indian, Matul Patel, a Gujarati, who has now been sentenced and ordered to deport from the United States. According to investigators, the operation revolved around the U visa, basically a special visa meant for genuine victims of serious crimes who cooperate with law enforcement agencies during investigation. The visa exists to protect people who have actually suffered because of violent offences. But prosecutors allege that a criminal network decided to exploit the system just for what? Immigration benefit. Fake armed robberies, they were allegedly staged inside the store. People were reportedly paid to act as victims. Store owners were allegedly compensated for allowing their shops to be used. Police complaints were filed, evidence was created, and everything was carefully planned to make the incident look genuine. The entire operation eventually began to unravel when investigators compared police records, CCTV footage, immigration application. As different agencies started sharing the information, there was some inconsistency that emerged, leading authorities to expose what they describe as a large immigration fraud network. The message from the US government is clear here. Immigration fraud is no longer investigated in isolation. Today, police reports, visa application, immigration records, and other government databases can be all cross-checked. And if the facts don't match, the consequences could be severe. Criminal charges, deportation, and in many cases, permanent immigration consequences that can affect future travel and visa application. And yes, for genuine applicants, this case, it serves as an important reminder. Ladies and gentlemen, every time immigration fraud increases, scrutiny also increases. And that means honest applicants often end up facing stricter verification, longer processing time, and more detailed background check.